Good evening. My name is Shalonda Gibson. I am the owner of the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston, and I am a voice specialized speech pathologist and speaking voice coach. Some of my clients call me the voice whisperer. It kind of has a ring to it. And that's because I help leaders and speakers tap into the power and authenticity of their own voices. And since we're here and it's Black History Month and it's all about reliving, rethinking, recounting the contributions of our ancestors here in the African American community and just giving them their accolades for everything that they have done. For us, it's about empowerment. And that's a part of the work that I do. I set out to really not only just give the clients the skills, but also the attitude, skills, and knowledge to overcome any challenge that is a hindrance to them truly tapping into the power of their voices. And I'm just sitting here in my office and I was thinking about where would I start with this? I was going to script everything out and have this nice and wonderful little plan. And I was just like, let me just, in the name of authenticity and love, because that's the theme. That's what I told all my clients this week. We're going into February and it's about power and it's about love. And most of my clients that come into me come in fear and they hate the sound of their own voices for different reasons. But I want to talk a little bit about that today. Why is it that people hate the sound of their own voices? And I can give you two main reasons. There's a psychological reason and then there's a physiological reason for that. And let's start with physiology. The way we hear ourselves is through what's called bone conduction, and that is with the inner ear or through the inner ear. So you hear your sound, it sounds more resonant, and plus you've lived with the sound of your own voice for your life, right? All of your life, and you're used to what you think you sound like to yourself. And when you hear yourself on a recording, that can be very jarring because it doesn't sound like you, or does it? And the reason you do not sound like yourself on a video recording, audio recording, is because you hear yourself that way through air conduction, which means the sound is out in the airwaves and that goes into your ear and that is transferred to your brain and it pretty much processes the sound and it just sounds really different. Some people feel like their voice sounds more high pitched or it just doesn't sound as resonant. It doesn't sound like them to them. I'm here to tell you it is you. Both versions, you're just hearing yourself differently. And then on the psychological side of it, it's perception versus reality. There's the voice that we think we hear. It's the voice, like I said, you've grown up with this voice. You know what you sound like to yourself when you're sick. You know what you sound like to yourself when you're happy. And it's all a perception. It's how you think you sound. And your voice is very much tied to your identity. If you feel confident about your voice and that kind of thing is attached to your self-worth, it's attached to your level of confidence. So many pieces. We can go so deep, but I'm not going to take a lot of time on this. I just wanted to give you a little nuggets to chew on as I'm getting ready to wrap up my day. So bone conduction versus air conduction, number one. And then on the psychological side, like I said, it's the perception. So the way we hear ourselves through bone conduction is our perception of how we think we sound versus the reality. And when you hear yourself on playback on a recording, it can be very much overwhelming for some people. They will not leave voicemails. They will not listen to a playback of themselves at all because they cannot stand the sound of their own voice. And some people think that it's very cringe worthy. So if you've ever heard yourself on a recording and you didn't like it, again, that's the reason why. So it's bone conduction versus air conduction. And then also it's your perception versus your reality. And when I work with my clients in our sessions, we must first assess their attitude and talk about what it is that they feel. What do they think their voice sounds like? What is it that, if we were to characterize it and give your voice a name, we've gone as far as to do that, to give your voice its own identity. And that way you start to humanize it and then you get connected and you're in one. But there are different exercises that you can do. But specifically, To learn to love the sound of your voice and appreciate it and understand the tone and the frequency and the quality of it, the best thing that you can do is actually play it back and hear it. And if there's something about it that you're concerned about, you don't like it, there are changes that you can make, and you can do that. Maybe you need more airflow, maybe it's more resonance, maybe it's just actually doing vocal exercises to help improve the quality of your voice. There's a lot to this. These are just some tips. Working with my clients these days, learn to love your own voice. Your voice matters. We have a voice of influence, and then we have our actual physical voice that we put out in the world. I would say our voice of influence, I should say your internal voice versus your external voice. Your internal voice is your self-talk, is what you think about it, how you feel about your own voice, the things that you say to yourself. And I would say voice of influence, because your influence comes from the inside out. And if you believe that your voice matters, you act and move in this world as if your voice matters. And I have these conversations quite often with my clients, and we tend to start with your voice really does matter. We don't just say that, but it really means something. Your unique perspective and how you move in the world, your perspective, your experience, and just who you are. You might have all kinds of wisdom, but if you're over there hating the sound of your own voice, you're more than likely not going to speak up in meetings. You're not going to speak out. You're not going to stand up. And we need more genuine people in the world with solutions to the things that are going on. So let's work on it. If you need some help, you can tap in. Check in with a speaking voice coach. I am a voice therapist / transformational speaking voice coach, which means we're working on it from the inside out. Call me, DM me, drop a comment, ask your questions. I'm doing this Ask Shulie segment. So if you have questions, definitely DM me. I want to help you. If there's an answer that I can provide or someone that I can direct you to, that's fine. And book a session. You can do that. You can get speaking voice coaching that really, how long it takes you to love the sound of your voice, it really just depends. Some people only need one session and they feel unlocked and it's what they need. And then others need 6 weeks. Sometimes it's an ongoing process, but just understand that speaking is a skill. It's like a muscle, and you get to build that muscle. My lights are changing. My computer just went off. So that means it's time for me to go home. Just wanted to drop that on you and share this with you as we go into the month of February. This is February 1st, the month of Black history and power, and also the month of love. So we are loving our voices and tapping into our power. Again, my name is Shalonda Gibson. I'm the owner of the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston, and I am your voice whisperer. Come back, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If I've said something that's helped you, go ahead, like it, comment, give me some feedback, chat with me, and I will see you on my next live.